I'm just sharing.
Actually, Friday starts. Yeah, so this I had intended it to be an interactive discussion, but I'm afraid it may have been telling me to give a lecture. So since I had some vested interest, I wanted to learn on the subject, on a subject which is environment. I think there is a group of experts in environment sciences. I've been visiting Abri several times. I'm actually belong to Patna. From this Patna. I've done my schooling. It's 1 minute on myself. I've done my schooling at Patna. Then in period at Science College, I left for Kharagpur for doing aeronautical engineering. But then, because of my orthopedic problem, I migrated to physics. So then that journey on physics and related sciences happened for me. And I landed in the space department, Indian Space Research Organization. And I worked on topics like remote sensing, satellite-based observations of ocean and atmosphere, such things, and related microwave remote sensing, etc. So after completing after superannuation, I was associated with as a faculty for taking some small modules on, they had a shortage of faculty to speak on climate, global climate and climate change. So there is a Government of India course, United Nations sponsored course for Asia Pacific countries, like countries like Malaysia, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Nepal, Kazakhstan, etc. They want to do MTech course and be active professionals in their countries. So they come to India. I mean, primarily ISRO and such organizations to do space science and satellite meteorology, etc. A 9 months course. So there they were having shortage faculty to speak on climate, global climate change. So they asked. So it's not my primary subject. So I agreed and prepared some things that I would like to present to you. But before that, I would like you to tell me, I mean, I'd like to learn from you more, learn a little bit about the air quality or the pollution. Actually, as I understand from various papers and etc., that the gases and the particulate matter in the atmosphere, in our atmosphere, troposphere, which is well known now, and many dimensions. As I understand, it's not only for climate change point of view, it's also related to health. So I understand the medical group here related to working on health issues, and also safety, traffic safety, aviation safety point of view. And such phenomena like fog, etc., it's a problem. So it is health, climate change, and traffic safety or aviation safety. The 3 dimensions I can see, but you must tell me, am I right in such assumptions? I mean, the pollution group is working here. I was very keen. You have a nice infrastructure here, and air quality index measurement is being done, and there is a project, Government of India project, conducted from IITM Pune, Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology Pune, which IIT is also associated. Just before coming there, we delayed, sorry for that. I was talking to an IIT scientist who is in Patna, but just now he's in Delhi. So I was thinking that there is an instrument installed at IIT airport, I mean Patna airport, which we all can, or interested people can visit and see, and perhaps explore if to the permission. Whether such an instrument can be installed at Abri and contribute to the database on air quality of Patna to the data bank, the national level data bank. So why I am concerned, because whatever extra subjects I am reading or studying, the air quality index, AQI, which is flashed, even on my mobile it is coming. You must be getting, I don't know who are they.
So you are
AQI, you are getting if you are Patna regularly, you must be analyzing it. I don't know.
Yes, sir. Always we are high the AQI is for the 8.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
You have a time series of Patna AQI, isn't it?
yeah, it is available in the BSC. Already the
It's under Bihar government. Okay. So did you notice that the AQI, air quality index of Patna, and several Indo-Gangetic plains, cities, Indo-Gangetic plain, they are higher than adjacent cities of India. Have you noticed this? Well, I feel that I'm finding it. I was worried there aren't many industries. What is the source of AQI to be high for Patna? Because it will cause three problems. It will contribute to global climate, health issue, and aviation and traffic problem. Health issue is very important. So, do you find that?
this is a large part of the India, the IGP region. So here is especially the PM10 2.5. Just different parameters impact on the meteorology. Meteorology was like parameter temperature related. So temperature and wind is temperature is indirectly correlated to the PM 2.5 because of here the meteorological condition abruptly change compared to the south part. So you notice that the temperature and wind is temperature relativity.
Or Patna?
Yeah, Patna because it's also coming the IDP region. Yeah, so this is a large part of the India, and the one in the south part of the India. So you know that south part, especially Bangalore, Chennai, is always the temperature like 35, 25, 35 maximum. But here is a large part of India, just go up to the 2 degrees Celsius. So
The temperature.
yeah, temperature.
Some unique features of pressure, temperature, humidity, temperature particularly, or wind speed.
Yeah,
contributing to higher AQI of Patna. Is it so?
Yeah, and the second is the some particles because of this region the alluvial soil. So this is the very fine particles just go to the outside, and thus it look like the fugitive emission everywhere compared to the south part of the India.
Yeah.
So
is it also true for say Varanasi or Lucknow, Kanpur? Is it also true?
Yes,
they are also high.
Yeah, because of this, all the parts is coming from the Pakistan, Punjab, Delhi, up to the Lucknow and Bihar region. It's Patna region. So just all coming in the IGP region. So here the Himalayan region is here. So the temperature, especially in the winter time, just goes down, and the temperature is closely related to the wind particles. If just temperature will increase, the volume will increase, and the particles of the parcel particles just volume increases. So pollution is low. Indirectly correlated will increase the temperature. The particles just disperse and down.
Yes, so summertime you have better AQR.
Yes.
That's what. The winter time is dense, so the particles are dense. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
So the winter time, if you're since Patna and all these places are colder than Bangalore or South, etc., winter time you have this fog problem, etc. That's what it is.
And sir, I'm just adding one more thing. Here you can see the peak of morning and evening. So one you know that very aware about the mixing height of the particles. So if the mixing height of the particles in morning, mixing height morning time and evening time low compared to the afternoon time. So afternoon time, just go to the outside. The sun is rising and just go, and that time the volume of the particle volume is increasing. So that time afternoon time particles come 2 weeks out, evening and morning, quite low.
So there is a diurnal variation.
Yeah.
And as you say, winter, summer, so there is a seasonal variation. But overall, the magnitude of AQI for cities like Patna is definitely high. Morning I checked, it was 150 plus. That is, I think, high. Should be below 100 or a comfortable, isn't it? You know, the doctors will say.
Wouldn't it be also like, sorry, like, wouldn't also like apart from temperature and the particles, wouldn't the vehicular movement and other things contribute to AQI?
Oh, this is but the constant will be constant just constant will be not in the north part of India. It's also constant in the south part of India, especially for the weather. But more major factor is the meteorological condition. Meteorological condition. Not only the temperature, wind is also.
There's perhaps there is scope for research study this along with data, measurements, actual measurements, as you say, there is a diurnal variation, signal variation. So you need a long time series of data by an instrument which is under your control of R3, so that you can necessarily do calibration.
Yeah, but we'll have to have similar control instrument in Bangalore and relatively populated cities in the south. Yeah.
Because there are the multiple factors. So, what you perhaps, and this is my suggestion, I have not worked on this, but I have keen interest in this. Because there are, as you say, there's a societal factors, as you say, traffic related. Traffic is not extremely high in Patna compared to many other cities of UP or Kanpur. I don't know. This is definitely one factor. Then there is a fossil fuel burning, etc. Or I don't know, there are some other factors besides environment, meteorological factors.
I mean, what needs to see already, given data, whoever government is doing it, that is there a systematic difference between south and north? On the average, seasonal and every way. And if you find that, then of course the hypothesis that is because of the heat and cold, one can explain to some extent this seasonal, the regional differences. The other is, of course, you have to look at population size and the vehicle number that you could get. And on the average, you could say that the emissions would be more or less the same. So whether a city has a higher emission or lower emission will give you from that data, which will be available quite easily, right? So that is emission. Then, of course, whether earlier people, this was a big issue, that people had these, they used to burn wood or powder cakes and all that for cooking. And Bihar region had more of it probably than, let's say, more developed cities like Bangalore, etc. But that probably has gone down after, distribution of gas cylinders and all that. So that may not be a factor. But the other factor is, of course, in Punjab area, this parali burning, and which we hear, I just heard that Bihari farmers are now picking up on it. Like apparently is becoming a political issue that if you do that, you have a political clout, right?
So, yeah, sometime back, a PhD student from Chicago, Varun, whom Sunil is like in touch with. So he came and presented a paper that he is working on. So it's not a finished project, but their hypothesis was that there is a lot of illegal sand mining on the banks of Ganga, and that is contributing to this unusually high AQI, and we are trying to measure that.
Was it related to Bihar?
Yeah, they are doing it in Patna.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. My name is Sanchita, so I'm from Department of Health.
Yes.
So by training, I'm a doctor and did my research in AQI. So in my understanding, though I'm not an expert in AQI, but in my understanding, AQI, air quality index, is a composite index. It has many components, and of which particulate matter 2.5 is the predominant component. So when we are looking at the some composite index and the matter, so I think there are other factors which is influencing it, and we have to see how this is being measured, which the standards you maintain, who are the department, who are the, I mean, put up the criteria, what is the criteria. So it's very, localized kind of factors, and for Bihar particularly, it has a climatic diversity not only in terms of temperature, but we also the extreme weather conditions, be it heat, be it cold. We have also, the unseasonal rainfall, precipitation. So all factors are changing, and apart from that, the cultural practices of, as sir mentioned, that indoor pollutions, then also the wind movement, in fact, and the Himalayan things and how it is colliding and making a smoke. So altogether, it is playing to that. So we have to look at the what is the department who is putting this standard, what is their cutoff, and where Bihar is placed, taking in all the factors which is factoring. So I think we have to do some hierarchical modeling, taking in all the factors that might be attributed to this kind of activity. So we can compare it across the region, not only a specific indicator. So that might look sometimes very much misleading when you see from a scientific perspective, whether it is kind of biased estimate for Bihar, whether we have taken care of other factors as well. So that is kind of my understanding.
So there are some sites AQI. There are other parameters which should be looked into from a health point of view.
Yes, first of all, for AQI index, that is a fixed criteria, they are fixed. But if, say, for example, AQI, we are taking of 10 components, of which predominant is particulate matter 2.5. There are other 9 factors as well. What are the factors included in those 9 factors? And what is the standard parameter for that? And how this has been calculated? Whether the weightage has been given to all state-specific variables or not, and what are the other parameters influencing this 9 factors. So we have to look into that to come to the conclusion whether it's really, really high for Bihar compared to the other states, and whether we have taken other factors as well.
Like a particulate matter 2.5. But do you think from health point of view, say lungs, etc., is there any other component in the atmosphere, like say carbon monoxide, concentration, or some other methane or some other gaseous components should be monitored separately and health point of view, say.
Yes, sir. For all the gas
Which is accounted for in AQI.
AQI. So first of all, for AQI, that is a different standard component that is taken care of. If you consider the health perspective, this particular matter 2.5 is the finest matter that enters the larger tissue. That is the last alveoli. It is the only component that reaches there and causes the damage. We have in every organ, we have epithelial lining. So this is the particular matter entering the lungs in whatever distance that it causes the damage. If you consider carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, if you consider sulfur, they're all causing separate damage to different organs. So kind of unfortunately don't have any indicators for health. But AQI is based on this kind of particulate matter or the gaseous matter that is being taken into consider. But we can also, as per the AQI index, we can also look at the health outcomes because we can see the impact of the climate change on health in different perspectives. First of all, sir, to start off, this climate change has impacted health in various ways. One is the first and foremost is food insecurity and the hunger. So if you compare the food insecurity, the hunger, that the picture has risen from pre-COVID to the post-COVID era. Next is because of the climate change, we have the change in the infectious disease, particularly the vector-borne disease control program that is impacted. We have seen upsurge in the malaria cases, dengue cases, that particularly in Bihar and Patna, that is contributing one of the largest in Indian context. And if we consider the picture over the trend over the last 10 years, decades, we will see that 21, 22, 23, there's an upsurge of this, all the vector-borne diseases where the vector density, the bonds are kind of things. Another is because of food insecurity and because of the suffering and because of the extreme weather conditions, people are also being displaced. So they have the mental issues as well. So mental issues, another plethora that is widespread. And if you consider health, it is impacting directly, indirectly all the health aspects, be it cardiovascular disease, be it maternal and child health, be it mental health issues. So it's a kind of is a composite.
Interdisciplinary nature, and perhaps some strategy will have to be under your guidance. You have to work out.
With continuation of mine, just adding one point here. Indian government is monitoring PM 2.5 for the AQI. But everyone knows that the fine particles is more dangerous compared to the PM 2 and PM, our exposure level. Because of just adding the respect to health impact. So we did Professor by PhD from IIT Ahmedabad. So I worked the fine particles 0.225 micrometer, and just calculated the health impact. Not PM 2.
You need long-term data to really come to a conclusion about the impact. You need a long-term data.
Yes,
you must have done.
Yes. So, sir, just PM1 is also important.
I think I've seen some of your study publications. She asked me to read. So, thank you.
But do we know the main sources of these fine particulate matters like 0.225, etc.? What are the sources? Do you have a good understanding?
Sir, fine particles, coarse particles, especially the from the coarse particles from the dust. This maximum PM10 and PM2, right? It's just monitoring. The ratio between the PM2.5 and PM10, just go to the 0.3, 0.4. But if just just go to the fine particles, especially for the tailpipe emission. That's the fine particles.
Yeah, what are the sources?
Especially just from like the roadside, the traffic getting everyone. And indoor area, look like just go to the slum area, just people like cooking or something. To use somewhere the countdown to take something. So also especially from the smoke. The size of
the source you are saying is either smoke, like so. If you burn something, you might get some very fine particulate matter in it, right?
Right.
So the parali burning will have some, right? And if you are burning wood or anything to cook, it has some. And you are saying also emission from the vehicle has some.
Yes, sir.
These are the main. Okay. So that can be targeted. Yeah.
Gulshan wanted.
सर खास करके पटना की अगर बात करें तो पटना गंगा जिले में है और यहाँ पर अगस्त सितंबर के बाद और मई तक अचानक से नहीं
सितंबर से मई।
हाँ, सितंबर से मई ठंड के दिनों में मतलब ठंड स्टार्ट होने मतलब बाद में यहाँ पे मैग्नेटिक प्लेन आप देखिएगा कि ज्यादातर ईट के भट्टे हैं जो कि
ब्रिक्स।
हाँ, ब्रिक हैं जो कि अचानक से एक साथ सारा स्टार्ट होता है। तो विंड फ्लो की वजह से पटना
उस सीजन में होता है, सितंबर और मई के बीच में ब्रिक्स बनते हैं।
हाँ, ब्रिक्स बनते हैं।
ये सब
तो ये मेजर
It's a major industry in Bihar.
Yeah.
Wherever you drive, these bricks
That's right.
thing is there. So I was thinking of that कि अभी वो जो ब्रिक बनाता है उससे कितना पोल्यूशन है और उसका क्वालिटी ऑफ पोल्यूशन को थोड़ा हम लोग को करना, because this building industry, real estate
Yes.
industry which is booming, we need to see, I mean, they create a lot of dust, but we also need to see how much of pollution is created out of the brick making
quantitative.
and also cement, etc. is a very established things. But brick making is done in a small scale. It's scattered throughout villages. Right? So उसको study करना चाहिए बिहार में तो
sources.
In general, also, I think construction industry is a
Real estate construction.
yeah, is so I was looking at it from a occupation point of view. So compared to say international standards and protocols for construction, they are very differently followed in India. And construction is also a big
Occupation.
yeah. Yeah, because construction is not considered a hazardous occupation in Western countries, but in India it is contributing to a biggest source of.
But also we don't. I mean, in US, etc., they don't use these big bricks to build buildings. I mean, most of the homes, etc., are just built on these plywood types stuff, and in between you can put in, what is it called for insulation?
Yeah.
For heat. Otherwise, you can mostly leave it empty.
Other times also, like one of the major, I was having a conversation with one of the engineering firms, and they said that building a brick house is much more safer from earthquakes and things like that.
Yeah.
Although
safer
than concrete. And we are one of the major areas where earthquakes happen a lot. And we are all going for concrete structures. But then, of course, there's fire and other problems.
I think there can be a serious study of can we move to a different technology of building, which uses different materials, etc., etc. We could even think about traditional building technology and how much better it works. It is true that whether you can build on those technology high rises, because now you need high rises, 15, 15 floors. So that's a construction problem, but question should be raised.
Hello, sir. I'm Anshuman Kumar, and I'm an architect and post-graduation. So, as I was telling you, in traditional material, because in Kutch, we can saw that in Kutch,
I just recently visited.
Yeah. So the government used to come up with a new idea of having a mud architecture, promoting mud as a sustainable material. And it's a very resistant to earthquake zones. And they also created a center in Kutch area, which talks about how should be the earthquake resistance architecture should look like or should function. It's, so nowadays, most of the architects are using mud, and mostly they are using south.
Yeah, they have multi-story.
Yeah, they have some mud. Mud, but it can be combined with steel structure and mud and steel. So it's a very good. So most of the example can be seen in South Indian parts like Bangalore and
which are less prone to earthquake.
Yeah.
So this region is earthquake prone.
Yes.
Cost is of course extremely high.
Yes. And moving on, as you were also taking the discussion on traffic safety. So as I'm also working here on adoption of EV vehicle, promotion of EV adoption vehicle in Patna and Bihar.
EV.
So EV vehicle, electric
EV.
vehicle. So we have been studying the fleet characteristics of vehicle that are running in the urban areas of Bihar. So we have found that most of the road networks in Patna are very dense. I mean, Patna have a very densely populated area, and the road networks or road capacity are not very fulfilling to acquire that population or acquire that vehicle mode. So, due to which the congestion is happening on the urban roads of Patna, and more the congestion, it leads to more vehicular emission. I mean, Patna is going towards metro development and promoting public infrastructure, but building, it's also in urban planning terms, we see it as a leisure infrastructure for developing parking areas and infrastructure like this. So the more it becomes developed, the more private vehicles will be prevailing on roads, which means more emissions will be promoted on in air. So to counter that, the policies need to be focused on public transportation and developing public infrastructure.
For the homeless, for me personally, this brainstorming is very useful. I would appreciate if you write one small paragraph this construction, this mud.
It's a mud.
Talk to some others on health.
Yeah, maybe we can have the entire thing like something.
What we could do is like, if you take it up as a research.
Sort of,
yeah, I understand. I have to. So we are the same generation. If we start something, because they will need leadership. Okay, they will need leadership. So if we start something, because then first thing would be to have a conference workshops where we can bring some architects who will have some ideas about, sustainable architecture and all that. We will have experts of different areas presenting paper. Then we do brainstorming. And from there, we get other people into the project, and we can have a comprehensive environmental, research project. So which you will be leading.
One of the
I had to really push him so much to come today because I knew that it would be a very.
No, I mean, I will be behind it, but somebody has to lead it, right? I mean, I will get these people work on it and all those things.
I've been a backbencher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so that was not a very good thing to do because then you could have contributed so much more to.
No, we will. So what we need to do is to have an initial write-up.
Yes.
And we have an initial write-up where we raise some questions and what are the other areas which has, it has environment is a very comprehensive thing. So once we do it, then we could also say whether we restrict it to Bihar. Or, Bihar, restricting it to Bihar is very unnatural because the environment doesn't follow your political borders. So you can restrict it from an environmental perspective, a region. You define a region from environmental perspective, that makes sense to have this region. And then do a research, comprehensive research. And we publish the findings. That's all we can do. And if governments take note of it, that's good.
Yes. I'm in touch with the Indian Meteorology Park. You also must be in touch. So, and IIT in Pune, Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology. I'm in touch with them, so I can find out the experts and with them keep in touch with you. So whenever you plan a larger workshop or conference, you can invite them. They will be happy to join you. So some friend,
The whole discussion we did actually.
You introduce yourself.
Myself, Rishu Kumar, I'm working as a research associate here. So the whole discussion we did on the north and south, and can get explained. So I recall one theory I studied in master, that is Simon Kuznets inverted U curve, and so that is inverted U curve shape graph is there. On the x-axis we have per capita income. On the y-axis environmental degradation. So as the country or state develops, inverted U shape, as the country or states develop, we faces environmental degradation at a certain point of time, and at certain point of time it will be constant, and again it will decrease as per capita income increases. So I recall that theorem when we see the situation of Bihar, UP, and all the North Indian states, underdeveloped states, which is fit in this theorem, or when we see also the country-wide, when we see that India as a country or developed country as we will say, or UK or other European countries. So as we have very low per capita income, so environmental degradation is obvious, very high. And as we see, we compare Gujarat, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, or Kerala, not Kerala.
So when you say development, I like to put them under inverted commas. There may be.
Yeah, so what you are saying is the inverted Kuznets curve. That's a kind of an observation, right? That what happens is that when you are poor, you are developing, you emit a lot of pollution, this, that, because you don't have money to clean the air.
Yes.
When you become rich, then you start to pay value to your environment and you are willing to spend money to clean it. And so you start to then become cleaner. But that's a different thing. But we don't have to follow Kuznets curve. We can use our human ingenuity and beat the Kuznets curve, which is the observation, and say that no, you can grow and be clean. You don't have to waste 3-4 generations, to be in a clean environment. So Kuznets curve is just an observation of data. But that doesn't mean that it's a law which has to be followed.
No. Blindly. It's a good study, but you not blindly follow all models of development. It has to be sustainable development. My personal development, not at the cost of health for the next generation.
Yeah, because by now we have moved away from GDP as the only, or per capita income as the only indicator of how well you are doing. Now we have a multiple, indices. So health, education, quality of life has become, and so the old days of Kuznets is over.
And also,
but observation has value.
Yeah, in terms of political will, it is even for say developed states, it is very low in terms of priority to do anything for the environmental cause, because they just think that that's just something like environment people, they're just coming and saying something, but we need to build highways and infrastructure, and that is a model of development that is usually followed.
We haven't reached 100% electrification in our country. So how we are going to be clean energy and all. EV we are talking about, but then again electricity is coming from the same thermal.
Yes,
Same way.
that's right.
So how we are going to
Yeah,
change
but
it?
you have to understand that at the same time, solar energy is also moving in. You know, there is Gershon Prawn wrote a very important book which you must have read, the, latecomers advantage. So in industrialization or whatever in this development phase, there is an advantage of being at the latecomer because you can leapfrog by taking up the most modern technology, which the others cannot because they have already invested in the old. So America is having that difficulty. India can simply, whichever area they don't have, go for solar because solar is becoming cheaper. So those advantages, if you take, so this is what it is. Human ingenuity is needed to do better. And if you don't apply your mind, then of course you won't do as well.
So we are exposed to different perspectives here. I mean, it's very difficult for me to come to take judgment, to make a judgment of which type of development, whether brick and cement concrete type of development or a one model development or one of my friends from PRL Physical Research Laboratory retired there. He visited Meghalaya recently, and in Meghalaya they went across the river, which is called Three Root Bridge.
Yeah,
Three
that's
Root Bridge.
famous.
So it's still there is serving their purpose to go across the river, but it is entirely from nature. There is no sort of, luckily the local people, the tribals, they have not replaced it by uh, concrete and iron, which is still serving their purpose to cross the river. So it is entirely from the nature. There is no damage to the nature. I'm not saying that is the universal solution, but for that locality, for that region, it is something that is many months, many decades old. And there are two, 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 two stage, it seems. I just saw the picture. I'm just giving it an example.
Yeah, I mean, you see, when you go to Bangalore and places like that, which are growing like crazy, and Bangalore is unsustainable in my opinion because of its water crisis. But you see these architecture and these firms like, whether Google or this or that, what they do is that their architecture developed in the Western countries. They just take it and put it in Bangalore because that's cheaper for them. We use glass.
Glass
So-
and steel.
And it in a hot country, what are you doing? The amount of AC you will need to use, and it will be creating so much of pollution. So instead of that, good architects usually go to a place, spend time to understand the culture, environment, the whole of the wind, the season, all kinds of things, and try to construct architecture which fits that place. Now, that is what is needed. That, we do intellectually also, we are completely enslaved. We take the theoretical models developed there and just use it here without thinking. So we have to change our mindset and we have to use our own mind. What is best for us? What is our strategy?
In this connection, I would like to mention a specific example from our workplace and the space applications. Our architects, with all due respect to them, they somewhere they saw a pyramid-like or building. They wanted to have a library. Those pyramid with glass panes. It looks so beautiful, shining. They have been garden all around. And it used to become so hot, and there is always a power shortage in that time when we shifted to that building. It used to be, I mean, we were not able to use the library, but it looked very beautiful and to display the photographs. Just because it's there in some West high latitude institutes. And we just copied it, and then they realized it. Now it is dismantled. They have to take away those. They have to be, with a lot of fountains from outside, they were pouring water.
Yes, wasting so much just to make it livable.
So, but we didn't learn which is suitable to our environment, our natural surroundings, or availability of resources. So, yeah.
I just want to add one thing. Whatever you're looking at, the climate-based health. So I think we have particularly not, and also it's applicable to the country as a whole. We are lacking in database. So we need to generate evidence, and based on the evidence, we have to see what the risk is happening, how it is impacting different arena. Then we can have an interdisciplinary actually and showcase the thing. So I think we as NADRI as an organization and using intellectual capacity can have a workshop, come up with something that to see the impact of this. So to the politicians, as Dr. Shmita mentioned, that they are not getting the thing that to them it's a myth, but climate is a reality, it's not a myth. So you have to say it's not only impacting health, but it's impacting the overall development of a state or country. So if you can come up with the data and evidence and show them that this is what is happening, and if we do a little tweak, maybe a change in that, how much we are saving in terms of money, in terms of life, then probably we can do something, because RT has been engaged in making the a state action plan for impact of climate change on human health, and we have done that, but it was completely theoretical exercise. So we couldn't implement anything in the state level activities. So we had a hard time in motivating the IS officer to make them realize that this is happening and it is affecting all their programs, not only the maternal child and the reproductive and mental health issues, all across all respiratory illness, everything. And not only that, it's also having an economic loss and having a huge burden on hospitals. So if we can have a database and see how much it is impacting and what little change can make a difference with optimum utilization of the scarce resources. We cannot say that today in Bihar, we are looking for a very high profile kind of thing in America or maybe developed countries. So we utilizing this limited infrastructure, what little change can make a difference. So I think we can contribute in that we can motivate them to start at least initiate some activities, some pilot and see, make them change. Yeah, the action. That's what I think can start with. Thank you.
So, Nisha wants to say something.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Nisha. So I wanted to just touch one aspect from PM 2.5. So the sectors like waste sector.
Yeah.
No, nations. So other sectors like waste, agriculture, they do not produce particulate matters directly. But when they combine with the emissions from vehicles or industrial emissions containing NOx and they combine with them and formulate, like from waste and agriculture, we get ammonia and methane. They combine with these particulates and formulate secondary particulate matters. So these also add up in particulate matters. And the cities that we mentioned, like Patna and Varanasi, and the IGP region, every city around there, they are based on the river banks. And the rivers carry a lot of silts around with them. And these fine particulate matters get in the air with air drifts and airshed management. Airshed is there from different states, they carry around the dust all around. And from the transport sector, this dust gets emitted again. This is the information that we don't need.
So there's some mathematical model is required for dispersal of particulate matter.
Dispersion model.
Taking the metabolic parameters into account. You need a mathematical model for applicable to Patna or Bihar.
Any city around the river.
You're more interested in our surroundings. So maybe we have
Like,
to scale down.
located around different.
Do you have such model? I mean, have you worked on such model?
I worked on our clean air action plan.
Mathematical model?
No, I didn't work on it.
Sir, I already worked on it. Actually, I worked with the IIT Madras as a postdoctorate. So I just prepared, we prepared one city action plan for Madurai city, especially from the emission inventory from the different emission sources. So we saw there the contribution of the source, suppose at least more than 50% from the traffic.
50%.
More than 50%.
What if 50% comes from traffic?
Yes. And road dust up to 27-25%.
Road dust.
Yeah. So we used and we had just took the help from the IIT of Pune, just meteorological data, and just use the air body dispersion model and prepare the emission rate from the different sectors, from 1 by 1 kilometer, 2 by 2 kilometer from the different city.
What experience? So instead of Madurai.
Yeah. You see, I mean, I think we should not just take up Patna, it's a very small area. We should take up a region, Bihar area, but a region which is environmentally we can define it to some extent. And then we will have urban areas, rural areas, tribal areas, etc., distinctions, and then do the work and combine these things together into a comprehensive understanding. And then, of course, the economists have to come in because the scientists will say, do this, do that, and you have no money for it. So economists have to come in to see what is possible and what is not possible.
Because there are so many issues, more than 100 issues. Scope, but you have to find any priority.
So another way which I think Sanchita was suggesting, that maybe if we can link it with some issue that would be a public, like public would be demanding for such a thing, then the politicians and the bureaucrats would be interested. So I think Deepak was working on, citizen-led feedback to smart cities planning. So maybe that some of it would be incorporated, like what is it that citizens would be interested in doing? So if citizens are interested in doing, and
citizens have to be awareness
system. Yeah. No, so
for the long term.
In the sense that
like
health. So health is one issue
is one,
which
aviation, traffic, safety, then of course global climate.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to restrict it to 1.5. That is what.
No, but what I'm saying is that we have to understand that do citizens actually demand for a better health, and can that become a reason for them to, vote if some political party takes it up? And then we can link it up with, like how better health can happen.
So there are short term, there's a long term.
Yeah.
Short term many citizens, even I'm not aware. I'm interested in having first rate facilities. I need the flyovers, the roads, bullet trains, everything. I want to go to Bombay within a few hours.
Yeah, I take planes.
Yeah.
Because
how much
the carbon footprint is high.
Contributing to global warming. So, want to fix that. So,
we have a meeting, but you carry on with them.
Yeah.
And so what we want is that we come up with some kind of a structure.
Somebody is compiling the
So I think it's better if you did carry
how much
on.
time we have now? Because
You can carry on for as long as you want. We just two of us will go, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And if we come up with something, I think there will be, let's say in 6 months or 3 months time, we organize a workshop or a conference, and just invite very specific people who will have good information on the areas which we are interested in exploring, then we are on our way. So, but you are the leader. Thank you.
I need to help in one suggested. I need your.
So I think,
your help.
just all of you who are in the environment team, can you just identify, like raise your hand or something? So they are in the environment group working together.
So that's also.
Yeah, of course. And Sanchita has also worked on the health effects of climate change. Yeah. So, I mean.
Because it is interdisciplinary.
Yeah.
No, but all of you are supposed to contribute. If you're not in the environment area, that doesn't mean that. No, you are not going anywhere.
I will finish my lecture, which I have committed. You want to speak something? I am committed to this lecture because we are expert in giving lecture, but tomorrow is the World Meteorology Day, as well. And the theme, every meteorology day or any other day, there is a theme. This year the theme is climate, action for climate. I think yesterday you planted a tree, so you have taken action. So apart from lectures, speaking, give a lecture, but that's not an action. So anyway, I have committed for, so please, I'll quickly go through these slides. But if you have any important thing to say about this session, we have discussion session, you can write down or just tell me you wanted to say.
Sir, I want to add one point, especially for the air pollution.
What?
Especially for the air pollution.
Air pollution.
Yeah. The air pollution is not only the AG1, because the government of India just to use 3.5
Yes.
And that is the ambient. That is the monitoring on the ambient. And like 10 to 15 meter high, installed all the devices. But we people living on the roof, like 1.5 meter high.
Yes.
Our breathing height.
Yeah.
And we have the different types of the microenvironment, like the suppose that we have the 3 or 4 types of the. We are the like the professional living the different microenvironment. Just to go to the outside, like just to come into the house, the different types of the houses there, and just here in the workplace, there's a different types. So. If compared to the different groups, suppose that one group like the construction worker already there are different types of the microenvironment because exposure of the PM10 and fine particles 2.5 and PM1 higher compared to the us because of that is the other types of the group. I'm adding so this type of work is more important because of government of India just monitoring the ambient environment, but microenvironment is also important.
So since you can stop me,
Yeah,
or you can coordinate.
So we'd love to listen to you and see and how, I mean, the discussion goes, then we can add on the points. So we'd love to listen to you first.
You can coordinate and
Sure.
stop me or I will think that's a
Sure.
Stop me. Is it okay if I sit down and speak?
Yes.
Actually, there were before we are talking all the time about air pollution, but there is the water, and we are in the Ganges River. That is the source of water for us here, this region, or the rivers, nearby rivers. So there is a pollution in water also. So that is also a problem for, at least from health point of view. And also soil, particularly topsoil, where the breeding of the hazardous insects, mosquitoes, etc. happen. So pollution can be air, pollution in water, pollution in land. I mean, these are the 3 things I can imagine we are exposed to, human being, we are exposed to. So when we say pollution in general, I think we have to remember that the water is also, and water in the soil also, for dry soil. Anyway, so now from the micro to macro, this is a few PPTs which I have prepared for the students of Asia Pacific countries. Just a introductory time. So this most talked about theme is this climate change. And anything happens, it's a freak rain or anything happens, we say it's due to climate change. But may not be always so. Next. Why is it important? Next slide. This is the cartoon. Previous. This shows that it's the polar, I mean, particularly North Pole, the icebergs, ice frozen continent, North Pole, also South Pole, Antarctica also, it seems it is melting. But interestingly, all parts of Antarctica is not melting. A certain part it is growing. But so we cannot make a blanket statement that all the ice is melting. But of course, substantial part of the ice continent is melting. That is true. But as a scientist, as a professionals, one has to keep in mind. If I show you, I don't have it here. A satellite image over many years, many seasons, you will find certain sector of Antarctica is growing in ice. Ice cover is increasing. Anyway, but substantial part of late, the last decade, is melting. And particularly North Pole. Next. This is, we'll come to a thing. This is a flower. Why should we talk about it? Maybe you can guess during this lecture. But it is directly impacting us, our society, human society. Next. This you are familiar with. This is from US NOAA organization. This is a, I will stand here. Stick. It will be easier. This is x-axis is a year. Starts with more than 100 years. 1880 starts this car. And 2000 and beyond. X-axis. Y-axis is anomaly and decreases from the 100 years. 100 years temperature, mean temperature over land and ocean. Global. Now you see up to this part, this year, 1940 or little less here, 1930s or so, it was sort of below zero, negative. After that, it has become zero and then it is rising. Then it is rising. See, after 1980, last 4 decades, 1980, after 4 decades, the anomaly is increasing. Of course, the magnitude is of 0.4, 0.5. So this has been happening in, if you see the climatology of earlier times, this has happened. This type of warming and then cooling, freezing, this has happened earlier also. So why are we concerned about it? We say global warming, climate change, etc. We are so worried, and it is generally matter of concern. But we are worried now. I mean, I was also a skeptic. I was thinking, why unnecessarily people are asking about climate change, climate change. There was a group of scientists who oppose this climate change group, they said, no, these are all naturally happening things. So we should not much make a hype about climate change. But of late, after going through some papers and looking at actual data, as you said, I'm convinced that yes, climate change and global climate warming is really a matter of concern. Why? Now the crux is, it is warming. It had been warming earlier also in many epochs. But the rate of change of warming is very disastrous, very alarming. Rate of change. At what speed it is, this slope of this curve. If you see beyond this, it's really alarming. Of course, you have to check the data before believing, because now people also manipulate some data. So, next. Yeah, this is one picture from temperature anomaly and 2023 July. Okay, now we see both type of observation, but mostly, particularly in the southern hemisphere, above the equator, it is, you see red. So red means anomaly is 1.5 to 1.53. But there are regions which are cool in Antarctica. Okay, South Pole. And there are regions like India and somewhere in South Africa, here are pockets which are sort of neutral. It's neither cool nor hot, but there are smaller pockets in which you feel hot. I mean, this year they say WMO there that it's going to be very hot. Yes. This is a variation of global. What I was saying, I was referring to this. There have been rising temperatures in the 350,000 years, 300,000 years. Okay, before the present time. So there are such epochs in which it has gone up and then it has cooled down. But what I was saying, the present epoch, the rate of change of rise had been very alarming. The rising temperature last something may appear to be small, but it represents extraordinary rapid. So this is what we will note. Rate of change. Changes in the previous 10,000 years. Next. Yeah, this is I have to quickly, because you may find a break. We'll have a break. So, next. So climate scientists expect Earth's temperature will rise more rapidly in 21st century. Global sea level rise. These are the three broad effects of climate change. This had become very disturbing, very frequency, duration, intensity of heat waves, droughts, and floods. And also I like cloud bursts. Suddenly there will be a huge rain, as you see Himachal, Uttarakhand last year, this year also, in recent past, has happened. Suddenly there will be cloud burst and there will be huge rain, and our towns and we are not prepared. I mean, we have developed, we have built houses, we have built hotels and things like that. That's next to the river, because we have lake view, river view, etc. Such beautiful names given to such resorts, hotels, built right on the bank. And there was a sudden cloud burst, and everything that from the mountains, the big rocks kept rolling. I mean, we have some friends, family who have visited, went as a pilgrims, and they became victims. I mean, they, bodies could not be found. So, I mean, we have all seen how the things collapsed like toys. Yes. So there are a lot of things we need to be studied in the global climate change topic. Climate variables, processes and interactions, then factors that determine Earth's climate, classification, then evidence, then understanding processes, then relationship between climate and weather. We say whether yesterday, it was very cool. Now again it is rising. So some things are weather related. There are some anomalies in weather, and there are some climate anomalies. That is a two different distinct. Past climate observation, causes of climate change and international community, and modeling of the climate. Next. So this is a very climate is what we expect, weather is what we get. I think it's a very who said Sherlock Holmes or somebody, some author has given a very this type of definition, but it's very true. Climate is actually weather, but statistically averaged over a long period of time. Next. Yes. Okay. As you said, traditionally daily life directly, what are the variables? Cloud type amount, solar radiation, then temperature, precipitation, temperature, then albedo, vegetation, soil moisture. So they take part in the circulation, atmospheric circulation, the ocean circulations, and land. There will be interaction of atmospheric with ocean and land. So this is a very complex climate movement. Next. So basically, the prime source is no the solar radiation. Of course, besides the volcanic eruptions, atmospheric changes and atmospheric compositions. So it is a system which is which have to be various components like dynamics. You can see.
Yes.
Okay. Dynamics, composition, atmosphere, ocean, ice, snow cover, land surface. Not only that, physics, chemistry, biology, all such processes are taking place together. Next. So we have this atmosphere, hydrosphere, cryosphere, land surface, biosphere, influenced by various external mechanics. The most important is the sun. So people study the sun's radiation in detail, which are some are short term, some are long term. Next. This is one. Most of the I have also taken from a textbook. So most important is the changes in solar inputs. Okay. Then there are interactions, as we said, atmosphere with ice, and heat, atmosphere and water body, then ice ocean coupling, then atmosphere ocean coupling. Then these are the sources: precipitation, evaporation, etc. Wind stress, heat exchange. Then there is you have your land surface. So we have ocean, water and land interaction. Then there is a human influence. It's a there industries here, there's a traffic here, etc. So human influence is taking place wherever habitations are there. And they are also sort of contributing to the entire changes in the atmosphere of land, ocean, water, etc. Then there's a volcanic, there's a glacier, there's a biosphere. The biosphere, vegetation, etc. Next. This is a pictorial depiction, but when you do modeling of climate, you need quantification for each component and each process. Then they will be interacting. So a climate model is in a very one of the most sophisticated and advanced studies. Okay, I will jump to the next. Normally, we see by atmospheric manifestation. We see what is the temperature rise. Obviously, naturally, we are more concerned. It becomes very hot, or very cold, and there is this huge rain. The present trend is that there will be a lot of rain, and the rate is very high over a short period of time and very localized. Suddenly, huge rain, short period of time. So the impact will be huge. And water outflow rates, as we have built cities, they are not good enough to make the outlet equal to input. Output input balance is there. So there will be water logging. And that water will damage many things, cause health hazards and different things. So this is one main feature. Then was great, and their mean and variability for 9 months to millions. Next. And then there is the internal dynamics. Climate component constantly vary, and we have something called El Nino Southern Oscillation. This is again internal dynamics of the climate science. And the external forcings are, of course, solar radiation or volcano. Solar is a human-induced or human-induced changes. This is a focus for international community now for climate change, IPCC, human-induced changes. So let us first look at Earth's annual and global mean energy balance. This is again text. This is again from a textbook. I think maybe you can have a series of lectures for your internal. We not have, you can have that. Was introductory. So this is the mean energy balance because we are balanced. That's right. The source is sun. Okay. Then, as you know, that it's absorbed from the atmosphere, then Earth, and there is a radiation emission from the Earth and atmosphere. But they are always in balance because whatever is gained is again lost. So the temperature is maintained. And the atmosphere which we have on Earth is helping us in maintain our atmosphere with its constituents of many gases, etc. So carbon dioxide which we have is also in the amount is such that it is helping to maintain a balance. But if it increases beyond the limits, then it causes the accumulation of heat below the troposphere, and that is another concern that rising temperature. And this rising temperature is taking place, and the international community has finally agreed that we should contain it to restrain it to below 1.5 degrees. But then there are so many other things, political things, the development issues for the other countries. Already developed countries, they don't want to change the technology as was mentioned. That will mean economics to come. You will invest that money, etc. Such things will come. But most people have agreed that it should be below 1.5 degree rise by the end of this decade. Next. These are the balance and how it is balanced. Okay, I'm not going into this calculation. Okay, next. So natural greenhouse effect. For Earth to regulate 235 watt per square meter, it has to do effective emission temperature of -19 at IR level. Average temperature is 14 degrees. Let us see the role of trace gases. They absorb and emit IR in all directions, including thus heat is trapped within it. The IR radiation is effectively radiated back into space from altitude to thermals, in balance with the incoming radiation, whereas Earth's surface is kept at much higher. This there is no time to discuss, but maybe some seminar we can discuss it. How the balance is maintained. There is a long-term effect by Earth's orbit, long-term, 100,000 years, 23,000 years, which is known as Milankovitch cycles. It's a very classical theory were students of science who must have studied. And it is changes in Earth's eccentricity. Eccentricity is, it's the Earth's rotation is not perfect circle as you know. It's an ellipse. So there is something called eccentricity, yeah, ratio of the major axis to minor axis. So there are changes in that ellipticity value. And that causes, that has a periodicity of 100,000 years. And that causes changes in solar radiation. Similarly, tilt of Earth's axis. Earth's axis is tilted as you know. But there are changes with 41,000 years periodicity. That causes change in solar radiation. Precision, as we say that Laktu toy. So that is called precision. It rotates on its axis, but it has a, it's not perfect, it has a precision. So these are the three things which cause long time changes in solar radiation and hence climate effect of the. I'll jump to slide, next slide. The next slide. Next slide. This is sorry, ellipticity, then the tilt and the precision. Precision is this. This is Earth's axis. This line is Earth's axis, and this is the orbital plane, and this is the perpendicular to the orbital plane. Now this axis is not, it is making some angle with this line, and that is called precision. So that is changing. Next. These are the three things we said that is displayed here. This I actually prepared for the introductory lecture for students who come for enter course from Asia Pacific countries. Next. That we these are the effects of Milankovitch cycle, that is changes on the various parameters like temperature, water meters, so some parameter I think we content or something. Okay, these are the axes, that is electricity, the tilt angle, and their effect on this. This was for many kilo years AD before that. And this has been found by ice core samples like that. Ice core samples or some old tree, collected from old tree from there. Is it called? There is some name. Ice core has got Moscow ice house core. From that, there is a trapped carbon dioxide content. From there, they can infer what is it. They can date it back to the old times. Yes. Each of that is a lesson by itself. Okay, these are investigations of the Moscow ice core for inferring climate change. This is a dust concentration, there is a carbon dioxide, the top is temperature variation. Yeah. Next. Okay, next. These are the climatic zones of the world. 13 major climatic zones. The tropical wet, then dry, moderate, then continental. So you see in India we have humid subtropical and tropical wet and dry. Green. The western side you have semi-arid, arid and semi-arid in the western place. are the various examples of the places which are different climatic zones. Next. Yeah, this is the time billions of years ago present. Okay. Next. Okay, next. Okay. Evidence of direct climate change. Direct evidence, secular rise in temperature. There are instrumental measurements. And there are indirect evidences, dendrochronology, glacial geology, and school sea level change, deposits of remain past, deposits of the past time. Dendrochronology. Dendrochronology. Indication of flower related past. So I think this glacial geology, ice core, like I said, coastal ice core has got carbon dioxide. Yes. Okay, these are the how the solar activity has changed. There is a graph which shows the green ice core. They have used beryllium 10 concentration. When it is low, then sun have been more active. So that is how then the sunspot cycle is right here. And the minimum solar activity was observed. It was called the Little Ice Age between 1645 and 1710. Okay. Yes. This was the from old, this we have seen, 1880,000. The steep rise after 1970. So external forces of variation, solar radiation, deviations of orbit, continental drift, plate now. And the last but the most important now is anthropogenic changes. Greenhouse gas concentrations, the last one. We have no sort of control over natural phenomena like radiation in solar radiation, Earth's orbit. This is happening in indoors. We have no control. What we have control is human-induced changes which we are causing. Next. We have natural nitrogen, oxygen is 78 and 21%. And besides the gases which are contributing to global warming is water vapor and carbon dioxide, most critical. That's why I was referring to carbon dioxide. There is some natural carbon dioxide which is naturally occurring, we are used to it as human beings. But when there is an unusual rise in the carbon dioxide is one of the carbon monoxide and other gases which are known to be very harmful. So carbon dioxide, for example, is one of the, besides water vapor. So this is a water vapor is a what we call self-reinforcing cycle. When there is more water vapor in the atmosphere, then it causes a rise in temperature. When there is a rise in temperature, then there will be more evaporation, more water vapor. So again, it causes more heating, more warming. So that's why it is self-reinforcing cycle. So that's why water vapor content in the atmosphere becomes very important. So what IND people measure is the water vapor content by the balloons or by radius on balloons or by satellites. In India, ISRO is one of them, which has launched satellites with sensors which measures total water vapor content. Goes on orbiting, so you know what Patna or the region. How water vapor content is varying. If you have a long time series, you know what is happening. You have more water vapor. Not be that you have more rain or but more water vapor at a time. That is called causing warming. This is the carbon dioxide. This is extremely important. Up to 1950, we have this type of oscillations, but less than 300 parts per million. 300 parts per million. We are used to this level. 300 parts per million of carbon dioxide. But see, after 1950, see the rise in carbon dioxide. This is very alarming. Yes. Nitrous oxide. See the right hand column 2000 has started with shoots up. Nitrous oxide 2 besides carbon dioxide. Next. Okay, this is the greenhouse effect which can test for So IPCC, International Panel of Climate Change, they have every few years they have a report. So they have first there was a lot of debates. This rise in it's not this. You are going to all researchers. So naturally you have to study this subject, detection and activity. So for data, you detect if you have this Bihar or this region, you detect it is happening. Temperature is rising, water vapor is increasing over a period of time, and other gases content, etc. That is detection. Then you attribute it. It is due to what? So detection and attribution. So this debate was going on whether it was due to that anthropogenic, that is humanly induced, or some other natural effects. This discussion among scientists went on for a very long time, but then finally, a few years back, all the scientists, they have finally agreed. No, the major effect is due to humanly induced, whatever fossil fuel, etc., burning, fossil fuel burning, or some other existing technology is causing this to happen. It is sad because climatologist, he was awarded Nobel laureate in 2021. Next, I have a Japanese scientist working in the US. Next, Manabe, that is his name. Manabe got in 2021 for his climate model. It's a very simple model, but he first demonstrated Supuro Manabe, the first researcher to explore the interaction between radiation balance and the vertical transport of air masses due to convection, also taking account of the heat contributed by the water cycle. This paper is in Scientific American, and you can just see it's very, but it was a wonderful, simple research study which convincingly demonstrated. Now, next. This is what we demonstrated. We plotted the data of different carbon dioxide, how it heats the atmosphere. And we saw the at ground level, this is ground, this is what we zero is ground. We showed the difference at the surface by 2.28 degree when the level of carbon dioxide is half. It increased 2.36 degree when the level of carbon dioxide doubled. This red curve is the carbon dioxide became 600, doubled. And we showed that it couldn't set down by a simple climate model, simplest. Now we have to be complex. Yeah, these are the status of climate models in different times. Mid 1970s, the model had only accounted for carbon dioxide from rain and sun. Then mid 80s, they added land surface, then clouds, then ice, then far south, tar and AR4, the latest. They have interactive vegetation. They quantified the interaction between vegetation and other components in the model. Next. So the different one is this model, numerical model. Okay, that is calculation. Model is calculating over a computer. Whatever observation. This is the observation thick line. How the models are performing. You see, the more advanced models are coming closer to the observation. So the model work is also improving. Modeling work. Scientists, modelers, they're working hard to bring their model results closer to what is observed. This graph shows that. Next. So these are the WMO and UNEP. Intergovernmental panel was established in 1988, and they are meeting, constantly meeting, and they are discussing, assessing the scientific, technical, socio-economic relevant to understanding of human-induced climate change. And the original 88 mandate for IPCC was extensive. Next. Last 2 decades, and they're called assessment reports. 3 ARs came, and 2021, AR6 said, this is the latest for this lecture, and after that, I've not followed up. It emphasizes dramatic increase in external weather events, worsening of some climate impacts, and narrowing of opportunity to limit warming to 1.5 degrees. Already it is very, some areas it is more than 1.5 degrees. So globally, for international community, the opportunities are shrinking. Unless we make, for the entire international community take steps, action, what we say, climate action, it will be very difficult to what we have decided. It was decided that we should contain the warming to below 1.5 degrees. Yes. So understanding India was a remarkable progress in 25 years. Water also has, but modeling work has to be increased. There have been technological breakthrough also in observation instruments, though may not be all available in all countries. But implementation, that we have to change the technology by those who have already invested, which are causing this greenhouse gases, emission, etc. Unless we change the technology, so that's why Professor Sinha was saying that we have an advantage. Suppose we have not we have a chance to leapfrog. Because we don't have the most advanced technology in certain engineering area, industry. We realize that it's harmful for the climate particle. So we should adopt the most sustainable, I mean, which is useful for sustainable development, or which is more beneficial for human race. Hard to say as of what temperature the change becomes dangerous. What we know is that warming will be more dangerous if it exceeds 2 degrees. We have made it 2 degrees, but actually 1.5. And the less the climate changes, the better for us all. So we must do everything we can to minimize climate change. 2021 November. So this is, I will end with this. This is cherry blossom. You know why it is related to for my lecture? Can you guess?
Japan, cherry blossom.
Yeah, Japan.
Must be something to do with Nabe and
Yeah, it's in Japan and certain other areas, I mean countries where cherry blossom is very. You want this?
that's my on.
This is off. So should I put it on?
No.
So this is Japan and many other countries. They celebrate this with the blossoming of this cherry blossom. And I think it is month of April or something.
No, February, March.
February, March. But earlier, it was a little later. A certain warming takes place after winter and then blossoms. Many decades it has been happening. That festival, and they will all celebrate it. Blossoming of cherry blossom. Now, over a past few years, it is blossoming earlier. Instead of March, April, or it is happening in February, as I said. So they had to shift the national festival earlier. So that see the effect of climate on social cultural life. Now they're celebrating it earlier, but they have been traditionally celebrating much later. So that means the blossoming time was occurring early. So they have to adjust to the changed climate. Thank you very much. It was a big, good experience for me too. And the first discussion was very useful, extremely useful learning for me. I'm sure you and others will make a, as Sir suggested, will compile and he's wanted to go ahead and have a larger workshop, which will give rise to some scientific projects, I would say, research project. The workshop you can invite experts. And I wanted to suggest that if in Adri you can have install some instruments which can contribute to national database of air pollution. To start with, just to, are you operating any instrument?
I think so. You can.
You have
a we have the small micro sensor.
Micro sensor.
For PM10.5.
Oh, yeah.
So using in the micro.
Micro on the terrace.
No, that's going outside for monitoring.
Acha. Handheld telephone. But will you be interested in installing like pollution control board
Pollution control board
or IIT people, they have a, I think, project, national project, where they install, I think they help in supplying the instrument. Then you become a part of national AQI project, and you contribute your data to the turbine, and you have access to other data like that. Will you be interested in? But you have to take
Yes, sir. We had the experience.
operation, look after the operation 24/7, like many of the organizations like ISRO, etc., operate 24/7.
Yeah. Actually,
Radars, like I recently visited Kutch radar, which is they have only 4 or 5 engineer scientists in Kutch radar center, and it is work 24/7. So they have a duty. There are girls and boys also, 2 girls and 4 or 5 boys. So even they are given duty, night duty, and they will stay overnight and see the operation of the radar, which track the tropical cyclone which came to which cyclone was there. Unfortunately, just before the cyclone hit Bhuj, the radar stopped working. So immediately they have to phone various national Delhi and other Bombay agencies come and rush and help. So such things, those who work in 24/7 mode, AQI measurement may not be so critical, cyclone tracking, but if you Adni takes responsibility, then others will be happy, and I think your government will be happy.
yes, sir. We had the experience for installing the devices.
But you will be able to take responsibility to work to take measurement 24/7, not so frequently. It may be 3 hourly or so. I don't know.
So that, I think this is the online device.
Yeah, somebody has to have a check on the displays. Power supply is there. Suppose power, like yesterday, so frequently power was going. But we have to reinitiate or things. I mean, I don't know. These are the scientists, engineers' work.
So this is the
that
different
mode, on that mode, will you be prepared to work?
This is the difference of the size of the device. Some devices only the operating like battery.
Yeah, that's right.
But some different devices, if you are seeing the different parameters, like perceive, to
Most of the things may be automatic. Most of the things, but you can't leave them just keep automatic hai to chal raha. Somebody has to take personal, I mean, of course, that can be distributed responsibility, because if you have 10 people or say 15 people, so one person, then his turn may come after 15 days. So like that. And then if everything is fine, that becomes a common database. All the parameter of interest may not, but this will give you a flavor. Okay, we have limitation. We are starting with only few parameters. With time, you can increase your parameters of database. You can have a science seminar, make presentation in national seminars, contribute as paper.
because of our research team is working on the microenvironment space. Yeah, our team is
Understood. There is a BITS campus here. There is a Mesra, BITS Mesra. In nearby, there is another campus. Near airport, huh? So the scientist of INT with whom I talked, he said that their campus has got AQI measuring. Are you in touch with those to campus here near Patna. I don't know. First time I learned about it. Just before while coming, he told me. Of course, he said we're getting the data. IMD person at airport, scientist. He said that we are getting data, we are analyzing, we are displaying, etc. I said, can I come and see? He said, yes. Then I said, can I come with one or two more people? He said, yes. You can come and we can sit and discuss, at least see what they're analyzing. Get some feel about it. I also don't, I have not seen. I just see AQI, Patna is this, AQI, Delhi is this, Kolkata is this, like that. Only that exposure I have. But he said he gets the data, he analyzes and displays. He has studied. I don't know. He said, come tomorrow. He said, I will send you a vehicle, I'll pick you up. I don't know whether any of you be interested to visit IMD tomorrow. He said, after 11 o'clock, I'm free. Yes, forecasting duty up to 11. After 11, he's free. Since I talked to him, I think I should go. If you are interested, with the holiday. Have you visited IMD? IMD Patna. Yeah.
I have visited that that one for
IMD different one branch there.
Yes, so that is not fine.
Yeah, also. How far is
Masters, I visited there for the data, but they said they only have to do. Yeah, they don't provide the data publicly. I mean, we have to.
Yeah, IMD is a very conservative. But it's director rights and at a higher level, if there is it takes some time. Did you approach to the Agri from the director's level? Individual level, it may be difficult, but I can public domain. I don't know how much influence I will have when I'm a retired scientist for one more than decade. So I don't know how much I will be able to help. But I will try to talk to this scientist to scientist interaction, and try to say at least some sample data is given, or if you invite them here, like I spoke, if you invite the person who actually he said that worked or analyzed, invite him to agree and do the presentation, then perhaps maybe more. If you are interested to pursue this topic, subject to your interest. Guidance from director. For this, I'm neither with IMD nor with Agri. So would you like to listen to me? Like to listen to me? I don't know who to give the presentation on the subject like related AQI or whatever. More I can ask him. He just heard of it. I mentioned Adri. I told him that I'm going to Adri. He said yes, I have heard of it. I don't know whether he had.
So actually, in IIM,
IIT.
yeah, we have a center here, IISRO, and same center they have also. So during workshop or something, we have interacted.
Okay.
They know we are the partner.
IITM has that project.
No, there is a center EISRO. under the Ministry of Environment.
Yep.
So they have also that center in Pune, and we have also center in Bihar. Same thing. Every state has its center.
Okay. So nodal agency is IIT for that project. Nodal agency for that project is IIT Pune, isn't it? Nodal agency. Coordinator. Huh?
They are the hub.
Yeah, the hub. So you have already had the
So we have worked on water management and planning in Bihar. They have meteorological related area in their state.
So inviting him into art, because we always will have the scientific session discussion. So it would be a good idea to invite him for his talk. And yes, to start with and show what's our scope and opportunity to explore more with him. And then we can go and explore his database and stuff. So
it's really your effort, your time,
right.
and the budget of
and what are the scope and opportunities of collaborative journey?
Yeah. Plan of action, whether it fits in with your
with the institute aims and objectives and how we can align.
Fits in there.
Yeah. So at least
scientists will be.
What is actually the requirement and what we are aiming at and what is the requirement? We have to explore it and we can start the interaction like that and we can take it forward.
Yes.
With the further interest and delving into the data. So,
since IMD is very nearby, that's why it is easy for somebody to be invited like that. Otherwise, to invite from Pune, I have a friend in Ahmedabad who has worked on it, then working on it. I have a student, actually, PhD student in Pune, IIM Pune. He completed PhD. I'm a scientist. He is not directly involved in this quality, but he can facilitate. But for a scientist to come from a outstation, it involves his travel, then his stay, and hospitality, etc. Could be an issue. But to start with, somebody from Patna, identity or bits of somebody easier.
And they are all connected. I mean, once we can start and show our interest and explore further scopes, we can connect with the other across the country. And they have the strong network. And it would be good, in my opinion, because when I worked on the health data, so basically the idea, the problem with Bihar is that they don't have a database. So we know that it is happening, but to what extent? And what is attributed to what and what things need to be done. We cannot do that because we see that air pollution is contributing to this number of diseases, but we cannot track them basically. And air pollution, it depends on the chronic exposure. It's not on the acute exposure. So we have to track those OPD-based cases which are coming with the very preliminary symptoms to the OPD, outpatient department cases. So it's very hard to get the database. So once we have the database and the exposure, could be a center to have that exposure measurement. But at least we can start off to see the ambient air pollution and the health status in an adjacent area. So we can have the exposure level variable. Maybe not at the individual, maybe you can extrapolate at that aggregate level to have some kind of idea to know that this is happening. So that will be an opportunity for RG to host it and have some kind of data and evidence.
Water quality, water or groundwater quality.
Any
water quality or groundwater quality.
So only pollution control board is
they do.
Yeah.
And so professors also do NIT.
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 NIT department. That is also goes by, I think, they are doing exclusively on water quality.
Yeah.
What are they relating it to? Just quality of water.
How it has changed.
How it is varying with time over the years. It's an interesting.
And I think, sir, there's one professor, I'm not doctor, not in college, so I'm not, Dr. Ashwita will be knowing that. So someone is working the arsenic, particularly. Yeah, arsenic. Dr. Rose, I think. Yeah, she had just recently retired, but they have been working on specifically on this project, and currently they're working with some international organization on something related to this kind of water and soil. And they are focusing on, yeah, they're focusing on particularly the containment of the flood affected areas of Bihar. So what is the extent of damage and how it is impacting health, and what things needs to be done in, when they are reshifting their base or relocating some of the places. So they're looking that aspect as well. So currently they're working with that. And she has some work in arsenic related kind of project.
So nowadays, we are working on control board, especially for air pollution. You are interacting with pollution control board of Bihar. Yes. So already the public domain has 6 monitoring devices, air pollution station. So we are collecting that data for the PM10 2.5 meter parameters, especially for the Patna. Bihar also has to, I think, up to 34-35 station readings done by the Bihar. And among them, 6 to 7 stations is in the Patna. So our team just collecting the data from the and just using this data and
And they are also collaborating with IIT on the right. Yes, install sensors all around.
But it's not available in public. Not available in public right now. Maybe after some time. Maybe. But currently, 7 stations are working.
I didn't.
I was reading yesterday.
Yesterday was Forest celebration. Today is also World Water Day. And the theme is water for peace. It's a very interesting. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah. So it's all issues like climate or climate change. It's a political issue nowadays. It's the aspect of monitor or something like that. So it's very important that we can also cover technical aspect as well as the social aspect. Both are equally important in the part of research.
But something in the political should not reject it. If it is helpful for society, is okay. Every day is a water day should be fair.
Political assistance. Some organizations made it as, like, for example, climate. Nowadays, everything related to climate. In economics, also, you have water, climate budget or climate finance or carbon credit, carbon audit. That is technically that business aspect. So everything is becoming business and more than society.
Very critical, and as you mentioned yesterday's text, we need some number 1/3 or carbon sink.
Yes.
Sink is the
climate change is a lot of hydrological we are on. So we need
cover is increasing or decreasing.
Heat cover in Bihar is increasing.
Patna?
Patna, I don't know. But overall, Bihar, due to Forest Service of India, it is 7%. But Bihar government claimed that it is 17%.
Forest again, they will forest mean what? Forest means isolated this forest or dense forest, something like that.
Yes, there are two methodologies. So, when Forest Survey of India, that's surveying the forest cover, they basically looking for that canopy, green canopy area. But Bihar government is just vegetative and tree cover. They mentioned that in the 14% is tree cover and green cover.
So they put park area also in the green cover. So
Park area, some grass type of.
so grassland is also in the green cover. So they coupled it like that. So basically both the department data is conflicting.
But scientifically, what is problem?
So scientifically, we should see about the forest.
Three-dimensional greenery, not two-dimensional greenery. Two-dimensional greenery is okay. I mean, better
We
than
can also
nothing.
see green strips alongside the road.
Three-dimensional greenery means you have grown-up trees and at least middle height trees.
It's a dense canopy.
Dense canopy
That is
leaves.
hallucination and data is also there.
Two-dimensional greenery like lawns. Like in Delhi, we have two bungalows, British periods. Legacy, we have VIP staying with large lawns. वहीं होगा उसमें फिर पानी बहुत सारे पानी लगेगा. It's okay, but actually what is required is a three-dimensional greenery. We need large, this middle level height trees with leafy, say, canopy area should be substantially. Then only it cools or it helps the climate, microclimate, or the pollution. It also prevents pollution. I mean, little bit protection from the air pollution. So, we need development, we need access for everybody and roads. So, with that approach, I was hearing that she is trying to discuss about forest day. So I said, she's saying poster, etc. I said, why don't you plant a tree? So maybe a small gesture. Public parks, I don't know, maybe on water day or meteorology day, a public park or a public place, if you plant, then it's or even private university, housing societies, schools, or even
Yes, we have also last year in June, we have conducted a smart awareness drive in the
schools.
bank of wetlands. So we have planned it this year.
While coming by this riverside road, it's nicely, it's called Marine. So there are patch of good patch, but not, they have planted few trees. There is scope for increasing the more, having more trees there. I hope they are protected from animals.
Yeah, my concern is that when it came out, it was
Before
very
monsoon.
nice. So they
Of summer,
need to improve some kind of maintenance, kind of, there's texture. So how they're going to maintain it, and I fear that over the years, it shouldn't be turning out near dump here. So people, but they have very nice, wonderful structure. They could have planned or structured that way, so it can be properly maintained and watered, and you can protect it from the dust and so on. But I didn't see that level of construction. So I fear that
some organization has to sponsor. Gujarat and there's some industries. There are a lot of, it's a place where a lot of industrialists and they sponsor this type of programs. It is written, it is like an advertisement for them also.
In Gujarat, so they get a special benefit in industrial needs. Like growing farmers, and they have a big forest area and conserve within the sites. So like carbon credits. And now it's been legal in policy.
What you said about the which mud houses? Is there any paper or
yes, there are many sites.
Send it through email?
Also so they have a center in which they test what
there's a museum also, no?
There is a museum also, but they also have a scientific research center in which just say I want to build one house in Patna. So I can give samples, I can expose the samples of my their scientific centers, and then I have to give some scientific dimension like what dead load the building. And they will test they will have
the central government.
Yeah, it's the central.
Discuss with the directors and adopt some pilot.
In Bihar, it's not very tough, but in south part of India, south India. Because in North Indian part, we also have an Indo-Gangetic place. We have an availability of raw materials. So mud becomes a secondary source. Whereas in North, we have stones and sustainable material.
For Bihar, mud is very strong.
Yeah, in Bihar, mud is very sustainable, but we use it as a brick because brick has been through very scientific researches and has been proved to be a very strong material. Strong.
I mean, if you compare brick versus mud, brick house, mud house, how do you rate which one?
So now the scientific papers has proven that mud also have a very larger strength area. But if we go more than 4 stories of building, in that mud is not very sustainable.
Up to 4 to equal rating.
But for residential buildings, it is very sustainable and very, also so the mud building doesn't also insulate heats. It doesn't
insulate.
Sorry, it insulates much better than.
And cost wise.
Cost wise, it's within the area, it pays lesser than brick.
Right.
So it's much more sustainable.
For a state like Bihar.
Yeah, for a state like.
And the logic, I mean, life. Brick house and mud house.
So it's more for brick house. There is a life expectancy of 50 years. For mud, 50 years. So in terms of strength and for mud house, it's around 30 years. But today, in our situation, no building has more than that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. डिले हो गया आप लोगों को डिले हो गया